Stan the Man, I hope. Okay, let's see what we got here. Well, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Smudcast number 461, Things People Get Wrong About Stan Lee. And this is a video by Comic Drake, came about 2 years ago in August, has about 84,000 views, and looks relatively liked. There's barely any downvotes compared to the upvotes, and is about 12 minutes long, so this won't take too long. Comic Drake is kind of meh. We don't really care for him. He gets a lot of things wrong. He gets a few things right. It's nothing controversial, but it's nothing inherently special, I guess. I don't know how to describe him. He's kind of milquetoast.
He used to be the sidekick for MatPat.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Anything that comes from him is just turns into shit.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sorry, but like his Incredibles video is accusing people that we are racist for not liking a character that has been race swapped and made into a very unlikable character. I think that's saying a lot.
All right. Well, what's the biggest controversy you could think of with Stan Lee? I'm trying to think of like who did what for.
Maybe the Ditko Jack Kirby thing that he repeatedly said that like he came up with the ideas, yet they didn't get too much of the shares after they were done. But like that's pretty much business. So
yeah, because the Marvel method.
It's the same thing that like we discussed like last time about the Superman creators, that like they made like a really bad deal and they got stuck with it.
Yeah. Although it's not as bad as their deal, but it's still,
of course. And the other one is that they actually made up like in later years, as far as I recalled. And Stan Lee wasn't like an asshole about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the Marvel method.
At least Jack Kirby did, because I think Stan Lee approached him in the 80s or 90s, and Jack said that like there's no worries anymore.
I'm trying to think of the actual setup for the Marvel method, because Stan would have a concept and write some dialogue, and then Kirby would like, okay, he's like this, and then he'd invent, well, if we have a guy who could eat planets, maybe he needs a herald, and he drew a guy on a surfboard, and then Stan would do all the dialogue, all the things in between, and they go back and forth until they polish their idea, and that's how they would make stories. They would just go back and forth between visuals and dialogue.
Yeah, the pattern can be distilled to something as simple as Stan creates the core concept and the basic structure of the writing, and then whoever he collaborates with, depending on what we're talking about, the other person fills out the concept with their own ideas, and thus comes the characters in question.
Right, and that was the method of coming up with new heroes and new characters and new villains, because they were so busy. They were the only ones doing the work. So it's like, okay, so he had to like delegate the workload between the two or the three, depending on how many artists there were. And it was hard to say who came up with what, because it was collaborative. And they had that wonderful little, was it a radio show? Stan called in. They were talking to Ditko at the time, or Kirby. I can't remember.
Wasn't that the Merry Marvel Marching Society?
Yes, that was the fan club.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, the radio show was part of that.
Yeah, and like it got a little bit cleared up on who did what on that conversation, but they sort of felt better after it. It felt like they I don't know, buried some stuff under the bridge, and
pretty much clearing the air on like you said, on who did what, and pretty much how exactly the process was for most of their early creations.
Yeah, and that's after that, then it just took off, and other people did work for them. So, but the problem with that is they weren't getting enough. The same with as we said before with DC, they weren't getting enough, or Ditko was not getting enough of and Kirby as well, enough of the royalties or any financial returns as a result, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
As far as I heard, that Ditko lived a very simple life because he only had like one apartment. That was it.
Oh.
So like his The reference to him in the Raimi movies, the Raimi Spider-Man movies, is kind of hilarious because like you have Mr. Ditkovich, and that's just he pretty much is just landlord. That's it.
Yeah, we make we make the gimme rent meme, but the like the real truth of that character is that was meant to be a parallel to Steve Ditko himself.
Yeah, kind of depressing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I can't think of anything specific about, like, controversial about Stan Lee aside from his later years with one of his lawyers and the lies and the weird sort of going against his family inheritance sort of, and what they were hoping to do, and how he got rid of that lawyer and all these other weird things happened. That was a bit strange when I heard about before his death, what was going on, why he was so secretive and why he wasn't going out as much, and he was paranoid about his health and his family out to get him. Scary stuff if your lawyer ever encroaches on your family that way, but that sort of happened. But I can't really think of anything else. The guy was just loved by everyone. He was super friendly. He was always trying to write stories about what he felt was important for the times when DC wouldn't or no one else would. So he was very charismatic, very friendly, and just a ball of entertainment and fun and energy that just kept going through his entire life, even after he retired. So good stuff. Great guy. I can't think of anything negative, anything personal. I don't even know, because that's none of my business. I don't care. So, yeah, let's see what Comic Drake has to say by staring at a picture of Gabe Newell all this time. I don't know why he introduced a...
Oh, the irony.
Yeah, what's going on here with Gabe? Anyway.
Probably just part of the intro.
Yeah, I hope so.
Have all sorts of visionary creators they look up to that not only change the landscape of pop culture, but global culture as a whole. I'm talking about titans like Shigeru Miyamoto, George Lucas, Hayao Miyazaki, and of course, the iconic Stan Lee. But for a large swath of folks, they pretty much only recognize Stan as that guy that's in all the Marvel movies.
Again.
That's Stan Lee!
What?
He invented comics.
Today,
the guys the people that only know Stan from the movie cameos.
About Stan Lee, his life, and his work, because it's pretty clear that when his name is evoked around the internet, a lot of folks don't really know anything about him. Stan Lee entered the comic book industry at the age of 17 and lived to be almost 100 years old. And having been rich and famous since his early 20s, this allowed him to live an extremely
rich and famous in his early 20s.
No, that's an exaggeration.
Yeah.
No. I gotta look up like when he was born. Okay, just a moment.
I mean, he would. Once he got into Marvel, he started doing very well for himself. That cannot be denied. But rich and famous, I don't think so.
I think he
was
well
born
known.
in 22. He was born in 22, so he technically would be 100 this year.
Yeah.
And he was 17 when he entered comic books, but like he only started. I think like he first had the job at Detective Comics, like the predecessor for Detective Comics, I believe.
A DC, yeah.
Yeah. But like it was long after that he decided to do anything about Marvel.
Stan was there back when DC was still national.
Yes, that's the name. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So I don't think he was rich and famous at 22, or that doesn't sound.
We already found the contradiction.
No. He was well known. It's like by his 20s, almost his 30s, he had already created a few of the Marvel characters: Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, a few of them.
Not even a minute in, and he's already talking bullshit.
Okay.
Unique life that's been misconstrued and contradicted, many times by Lee himself. So join me as I try to untangle this complicated web as we dive into what people get wrong about Stan Lee. But you know what? If there's one thing that Stan Lee really liked, it's making money. So it's in the spirit of things to include a sponsor for today's video. So big thank you to Trade Coffee. Y'all have seen me with a ton of money.
As in wanting to make money is exclusive.
Yeah. Oh, he wanted to make money. Yeah, it's his job to make money. What are you talking?
It's his fucking job.
Okay, and now he's selling. What the hell is trade? Is he selling stock? What is he doing?
Apparently, it's about coffee, but can we skip this?
Yeah. There we go. Okay, let's go on. Here's the Giga Chat. Hey, Giga Chat, how's it going? Thanks for the one. Things people get wrong about Comic Drake. He's anything but a paid shill for the current crop of SJW comic writers. I kind of got that vibe last time.
Based. Thank you, Chad.
Number 2, he gets bitches. Number 3, his scripts aren't written by his wife's boyfriend. Oh.
I hate his mug performance.
It's a good mug, though. I gotta admit, that's a really...
Yeah.
It's a nice shiny mug. Gotta give him that.
Oh yeah. Do you want to drink out of the disembodied torso of a muscular man?
I wonder how his mugshot looks like.
Oh.
Aha.
Well, I think he's into comics. In case you haven't grasped the
Is
overload.
Is he really? Or is he into web design?
Yeah, iconography.
Yeah, you say comics, but there are manga emblems in there as well.
Yeah, I know. It's like, okay, dude, we get it. You like artwork in a comic book format.
You pretend to. you sufficiently virtue signal that people can believe that you like comics, possibly, maybe.
Anyway.
And Full Metal Alchemist.
And Death Note, a bunch of other stuff up there. Anyway, yeah.
A must for any coffee lover because they help you discover new coffees from the nation's best local roasters. And
He's still talking about that frickin' product. Sorry.
I need to pay my rent.
It is a coffee thing.
Yeah.
No way.
Holy shit. Okay, that was like a minute worth of just him rambling.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep going.
Good. A minute less we need to deal with.
out of the way to start off this video. Stan Lee is not Stan Lee's real name. Kind of. Stan's real name is Stanley Martin Lieber, which is probably a good thing because I can't imagine how much a kid named Stanley Lee would get picked on as a kid while growing up in the 1920s. Stan wanted to be a writer.
Other kid.
Wow, he made a short form from his first name. How unheard of. I've never heard that done before. What a genius.
You know, comic strike. I know this is incomprehensible to you, but kids can make bullying out of any name.
Anything.
Yes. They will make if they pick you out as the target, they will, if necessary, invent something and just see if you react negatively to it. And if you do, they'll stick with it. And even if then someone tells you, "Oh, just ignore them," it's too late.
Yeah,
they will keep doing it. You don't understand bullying, you bloody idiot.
This is no different than having a friend and calling him a nickname from his longer name. If you want to say Maximilian every time, you just say Max or Bob instead of Robert or whatever. Like, this is normal. So he just shortened it out so people can say it and think about it very quickly, as opposed to going Stanley. Okay. Anyway, one more. Here's a Google USS Liberty incident. Okay, I guess I will later. Thanks for the one. You just know for a fact that he's going to say something along the lines of Stan Lee is a socialist, or that comic book fans have every ist and phobias you can think of. The team of people that trim his crap beard should do his research for you. Oh. Well, you know, his videos aren't that good. They're not that bad either, so we can tolerate them. They're just sort of meh. I don't know. They don't really offend me. They're just sort of silly. Anyway, let's continue.
For most of his life, and didn't initially think too much about comic books, or even know what they were all about. So when he got a job at Timely Comics, who would eventually turn into Marvel Comics, Stan wrote under his pen name in hopes of saving his real one for when he became a more serious writer. However, he had his name legally changed to Stan Lee in 1970 since his pen name became so well known that it caused issues with things like using credit cards and booking hotels. Sometimes stuff would be under Lee, and sometimes it would be under Lieber. It became a big mess from time to time. Now, even though Stan Lee was the most common name that he wrote under, it wasn't his only pen name. In order to make the company's staff look bigger than it actually was, Stan actually wrote under other aliases like Neil Natz, S.T. Anley, and Stan Martin. This ties into another big misconception about Lee's life. Yeah, a lot of people think that he actually made Marvel itself, which is just plain untrue. The company was actually started by his cousin's husband, Martin Goodman. Originally starting out as a company called Newsstand Publications, Goodman published all sorts of books. This business would pivot towards comics though after the success of their book, Marvel Comics #1, which introduced the world to characters like Namor the Submariner and the original Human Torch. Following the breakout success, Newsstand rebranded to Timely Comics, and the rest is history. In fact, Stan didn't even start out as a writer at Marvel. 17-year-old Stan Lee was originally tasked with doing odd jobs like emptying ashtrays, sweeping floors, getting coffee, refilling inkwells, erasing pencil marks from inked pages, and sometimes proofread. All of that for just a salary of $8 a week. Lee got his first opportunity to write with a short story in Captain America Comics, and was promoted to editor at the age of 18 when two of Timely's golden boys, Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, were fired because
What is $8 a week with inflation?
In the 30s?
Yeah, you have to.
I'm gonna calculate that.
Yeah, the 30s
Yeah,
is.
because with the Marvel comic costing 10 cents, when nowadays you pay how many dollars for them? 2, 3,
Right.
4, 5.
And this is during the Great Depression, so
Okay, 1930s, $1 is equivalent to $17 today.
yeah.
Okay, that's times 8.
150 almost.
A week? Okay, that's still
Yeah.
not that much, but
Yeah.
that's 300, 600 a month. That's like a part-time job.
And I was fairly young during the Depression, making entertainment, which is pretty tough. Print, at least.
Yeah, I'd say that sounds like good pay.
Yep. That's
Almost.
a job. Job's a job. All right. Good stuff. He's making money.
they were moonlighting at their competitors, National Comics, the company that would go on to become DC Comics. This was kind of something that Stan facilitated, considering that he was the one that ratted out Kirby and Simon in the first place, but he'll never admit it.
Joe and Jack, for some reason, were fired. I can't even remember why. There's something came up with them and Martin Goodman, the publisher.
Okay, next misconception. Stan Lee did not create everything at Marvel Comics, and he especially didn't create Captain America. Hell, even when it comes to a lot of the characters that he's listed as having helped
even suggest that he made everything. Like that's a fucking straw man right there. Like okay, like there are like some prolific creators in comic books who can create like hundreds of characters, but like no way he created everything. Like I don't know like where he gets these.
Yeah, I mean we know of Spider-Man, we know of Iron Man, we know of the Hulk, Thor.
I know Jack Kirby has created tons of characters, especially since he worked for both Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
But there's gotta be like another guy who created even more.
Yeah.
Like the ones that are very, very well known.
Yeah, all the ones that you see in the movies, like the Scarlet Witch, Jean Grey, the Fantastic Four stuff, that's all Stan. Like that's what he's known for. That's what he made. Like Daredevil, all the names that are popular nowadays from Marvel. That's it. I'd say maybe a dozen or no, 2 dozen. I'd say roughly around there. He's made, but not all of Marvel. There's so many characters in Marvel; it's hard to follow. So just the main ones that were popularized. That's about it.
create, it's debatable how much he actually did. His frequent collaborator Jack Kirby, who had since come back to Timely and still harbored a lot of hatred for Stan, did a lot of the heavy lifting for a ton of their creations. Kirby even flat out denies that Lee had much creative input at all, saying in an interview, quote, "I came up with the Fantastic Four. I came up with Thor. Whatever it took to sell a book, I came up with. Stan Lee has never been editorial minded. It wasn't possible for a man like Stan Lee to come."
Why would you add
put
pronouns
in?
Oh,
My God.
how can you disrespect a man like that?
Gee, I think it's a guy. I think his name is Jack Kirby. Are you sure it's
It
a
looks
guy?
like my grandma.
Are you sure? I'm not sure
how-
about that.
On the
That's
other
a very
hand,
feminine pose there.
Isn't he assuming his pronouns as well at the same time?
Oh.
Oh God.
I bet he didn't ask Jack Kirby.
This is so silly. It's like, guy, here's a picture of a president who's male. It's he, him, guys. President George Washington. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, and that means they are assuming someone's sex or gender, as they say. They're doing the very thing they deemed a crime. See why I get so flustered about all of this crap?
Retarded. This is like,
yes.
Yes,
you're starting to see.
He was born
Stupidity!
He came from America, not the European world. Like, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
There is a Captain Britain.
Yes.
Come on.
I just find it funny. I was like, by the way, he's wearing a sweater. Oh my God, you're right.
Oh, a sweater.
He died in 1994.
Yeah.
This
that's when I
pronoun
was
shit
born.
was so far from existing in 94.
That's such an awful birthday present.
And he puts it on someone.
Birthday present. Wow.
Fucking Comic Drake, you are a socialist, sexist asshole. and you're also transphobic because actual gender dysphorics do not want this pronoun shit. Go away.
All right. Let's
I
get...
think like Jack Kirby ever talked about his sexual identity. He was more about like I want to create comic books. I want to draw. That's all I saw from him, like as an artist. But because there was more to him.
All right. Okay. Let's get going here. I do remember the conversation that how the Silver Surfer was invented and Galactus, like that was Kirby, and Stan explained, okay, it was Kirby's idea to have the Silver Surfer, so it was collaborative to a degree. But yes, the Marvel method involved Kirby or Ditko doing their own thing, and Stan taking the reins and fleshing out all the dialogue. Anyway.
Come up with new things, or old things for that matter. Stan Lee wasn't a guy that read or told stories. Stan Lee was a guy that knew where the papers were or who was coming to visit that day. Stan Lee is essentially an officer.
See, this is where I'm like, okay, I don't know about that. I think Stan is very good at telling stories in general, not in the necessarily literary sense, but in the vocal sense. He'll just start talking and writing stuff down and get your attention just by sharing a tale. And that's why he's so good at dialogue, because he's writing what he's saying. So Jack obviously has a little bit of a grudge here, I think. So he's like,
of course.
He's not very.
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, he's not that great at storytelling. It's like, well, I don't know. He sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Come on, like, can he draw like me?
Yeah, exactly.
Nah.
Worker. Now, look, I'm not one of those people that thinks that Stan Lee is a total hack that stole all of the credit for other people's work.
It sounds like that.
Believe me,
Something
there
tells
are
me you
a lot
are.
of people that do. However, it's hard to deny that when Jack Kirby left Marvel, Stan had a lot less characters that he was creating. And regardless of their true origins for a lot of these iconic characters, there's no disputing that Stan was a master at promoting himself and frequently underplayed the work of his collaborators. The amount of input is also called into question when you consider that Stan frequently wrote in a style that he called the Marvel method. See, Stan will be the first one to tell you that he loves to dream up stories, but he hates to actually write. On top of that, he was getting extremely busy and wasn't able to write full scripts for each of the comics. So to cut down on his work, he started to just give his artists overall summaries of what he wanted the plots to be. The artists followed the outline, but drew out the comic however they wanted, and once they were done, Lee would go back and insert the dialogue and onomatopoeias. So yeah, Stan Lee took an unorthodox and more hands-off approach to a lot of his writing, but he was still prolific and had a lot of creative control and direction. A lot of this control can be seen in the politics that Lee loved to inject in his books. Yeah, contrary to what you might hear from a lot of people online, Stan Lee was not apolitical, and every time that somebody says that Stan Lee is wrong...
Is this at large just some attempt to
Whisp, this is the perfect frame to pause on.
Thank you. Is this some scheme to co-opt Stan Lee and deconstruct and demonize him at the same time?
I think it might be. I'm not sure.
But I think like Stan Lee was the person who said like never preach in your stories. Never preach. Like you can insert like current events as like a side thing. Like just very soul thing. but like never
Then
preach.
and then look what happens half a century after he says that.
Yeah, that's because the SJWs overinterpret anything political in a story as, look, it's political, just because you talk about about corruption.
Yeah,
it's immediately political for them. If there's relationship drama, it's immediately political for these people, because to these people everything is political. Thus, if you write anything, they will say, look, there's politics in this, so it's okay if it is okay that we push our ideology, because they believe that pushing ideology and talking about a political subject is the same thing. Propaganda and political issues are the same things private issues are the same things to them. It's similar to the language engineers of the socialists, claiming that because there is a natural change and evolution of language that is organic, so that there is language changing, they are justified to engineer it deliberately and thereby break it in the process, which is what these pronouns are doing, which is what the introduction to in other languages like German and Spanish with these weird suffixes are, like Latins and other changes they make to language. And this is all horrible.
Yeah,
and they always use the natural occurrence of something as a justification to do their malicious shit.
Yeah, in Stanley's case, I think the most political he ever got was he was vocal about making a black superhero, and it wasn't Black Panther originally. I think it was something else that he created, and it wasn't that popular. But
Black Leopard, was it?
I don't remember what the hell it was called.
Oh no, it wasn't that, because I'm misremembering. Black Leopard is what they replaced Black Panther with because of the Black Panther movement.
Yeah, something along those lines. You had to change the name, but that was about, like, he just had it. Why isn't there black superheroes? Blah blah blah. Like he said that.
For the record, that the Black Leopard persona got referenced in the MCU in the Black Panther movie. Which, say what you want about that movie, that's a cool reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will sometimes have a nugget in something.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't.
Say there's a blind hen also finds a corn.
It wasn't this huge big deal that Stan was like so politically minded. We have to do things this way. It's like, no, not really. He just wanted to do it.
Well, then in that case, with replacing the Black Panther with Black Leopard, that was him specifically avoiding any kind of political issue there.
Exactly. Yeah. But that was a big issue between Marvel and DC at the time anyway. So they have to be very careful with Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel and all these other wonderful references.
That was mainly just copyright issues, not necessarily any kind of beef.
And there's one instance where they do complain about politics in things, and that is when they do not feel like they are in power in society, and they see the, in quotation marks, politics of the other side in stories. Then they claim, oh, that's propaganda, it's evil, there should not be politics in the media for our children. Then they take that position immediately when they do not feel like they control society.
Yeah, that sounds almost back to Plato's Republic, that he hated all the artists and actors because they could convey political messages with their music and their poetry. And it's like, okay, that could...
Yeah, but they only hate it when they're not in power. When they're in power, they love it.
Yeah.
So they're not acting from principle, they're only acting from tribalism.
Yeah, and it wasn't the fact that Plato didn't like it. He liked music and poetry. He just wanted it outside the city gates, just outside the jurisdiction. Just kick them out, leave them outside. They could have their own little village over there. We don't care.
They can be raped by the barbarians.
They can be friendly with the nature and whatever. We just leave us alone.
Oh, a hippie commune.
Whatever they did back then, yeah. All right.
Rolling in his grave when Marvel includes something like a diverse character, then they're invoking his name without knowing what Stan Lee was all about. From 1965 to 2001,
for example,
Stan had a column called Stan's Soapbox, where he talked about all sorts of stuff, but frequently used it to champion diversity. Here's a couple of my favorites. From time to time, we receive letters from readers who wonder why they're so...
He added pronouns again! I hate this asshole! I hate this asshole. He makes me aggressive. I don't
What's
want
wrong,
to
Whisp?
be aggressive.
Doesn't he look like your grandma? Look, like this is like a woman. It could be a woman.
This is so demeaning. As if we can't see he's a man.
It's amazing.
This mental cretin. I'm running out of bloody insults.
Oh,
Was that Klingon?
Yes.
Was it?
I don't know.
These fucking assholes.
All right. Anyway,
They're not just exploiting us, they're demeaning everyone.
see, this is what I mean.
You never read Marvel comics until you read it in Klingon.
Yeah, Comic Drake is like not that offensive, but just kind of stupid. You know, just like, why would you do that, dude? Come on. Of all the
Yeah,
things.
but this is how the propaganda works. It looks all innocent and just incompetent. But it's how many thousand people watch this shit and upvote it?
Yeah, it's true.
That's the fucking problem. They just gobble it up. They think this is how reality is. This is how you're being a good person because that's what they keep telling them. This is basically church indoctrination outside the church by something else than the church.
All right. Anyway, see, this video is almost done. Like we got 5 minutes left,
And they put words into Stan's mouth.
Yes.
Being for diversity. Diversity only means non-white to you, you bloody asshole. And it means woman instead of man. That's all it means. It means gay instead of homosexual. It means trans instead of healthy.
So in the soapbox here,
you are just sexist, racist assholes.
he's talking
Okay.
about war, and this is during the 60s and 70s where that was a big topic for America and pretty much most countries because of what happened during World War II and Vietnam, and so that was comics were a response to the times, as they have always been. So that's what he's talking about.
Yes, superheroes.
Yeah.
so much moralizing.
Like this
on
is
that.
like very
They
different
take
from
great-
like the kind of politics that like you see in comics now. But like Comic Direct is not gonna point it out. Like the one that like you do see in the recent ones is literally just propaganda. Like it's like extremely biased towards one side. They just can't let that go.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the one that like Stan is championing here is that like you should care about people. Like why is that political to an extent?
Yeah, that's what I mean with that. They're, to use a word they love so much, they're appropriating people of history, noteworthy people of history, and twist their words into meaning something that they want, when that's not what they're actually saying. And the comics made in the time of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, that's the very stuff the SJWs hate because it's just misogyny and toxic masculinity in comics. It's the very stuff they complained about for all these last years, to bully themselves into the positions of being writers and now writing all these propaganda comics.
I highly doubt most of them even read those classic comics from the 70s. It's just, how would they get them?
We had like that other guy who was saying that the Captain America was a Jewish golem. And like all he could talk about was the cover of the comic book, and not the content of the comic book itself.
Yeah, it was the character of the Aleph or the A on his forehead was the same.
Yeah.
What? What are you talking about?
In Hebrew, that's the first letter of the golem.
That's what gives it its power. You're like,
What about the A on his helmet?
Well,
what about the star? It's not the Star of David, anyway.
Yeah, it was so weird. Like, dude, come on, it's a stretch and a half. Where are you going with this? Yeah. Anyway, that was a lot.
Certainly means Aryan.
Oh yeah, the Aryan Captain America. All right.
Yes, since he's an Übermensch, effectively.
Oh.
Isn't he what the Nazis wanted to create? Blonde, blue-eyed,
the literal
chiseled.
physical Ubermensch. I don't know. It goes against what Nietzsche was talking.
Der Übermensch, fighting for
that's
their
not what
poverty.
Nietzsche was talking about.
Yeah. Oh jeez.
I gave that speech last time.
All right, 5 minutes, almost done.
pains to point out that comics are supposed to be escapist reading and nothing more. But somehow, I can't see it that way. It seems to me that a story without a message, however subliminal, is like a man without a soul. And From where I sit,
Oh, you
bigotry
mean
is
like
one of
the
the many stains upon the
psychopath
human
child
echelon that
diddlers
must be
you
eradicated
protect
before we
in
can
your
truthfully
socialist
call ourselves
movement.
civilized. It comes in many forms and shapes, but it's most easily recognized in the forms of cruel and mindless generalizations, such as when you hear some yo-yo say, all Italians are like this, or all Germans are like that, or all...
Yeah, but that's a stereotype for a reason. It doesn't mean everyone's the same. It means it's a pattern that has existed for a reason, and you have to identify what that is. Like, all Italians love tomato sauce. Well, not really, but most of the case, 99% of the time, you're going to find an Italian who loves tomato sauce just because that's how it goes.
Look, you read this text, and it's essentially ripping the social justice narrative apart.
Yeah,
this is counter the social justice narrative. Just read this text.
Like how to shoot yourself in the foot in 10 seconds.
Yeah. We can just read through this. From where I sit, bigotry is one of the many stains upon the human.
That's
Escuchen.
Okay, that's what I don't know. Which must be eradicated before we can truthfully call ourselves civilized. It comes in many forms and shapes, but it's most easily recognized in the form of cruel and mindless generalizations, such as when you hear from Yo-Yo say, all Italians are like this, or all Germans are like that, or all women are so-and-so, or all blacks, or Catholics, or Jews, or redheads, or whatever are like this. Well, they may not be aware of it, but the turkeys that talk that way, and it's always done in a disparaging, put-down manner, of course, are bigots, plain and simple. Here he already takes the social justice narrative of all white people are devils apart and throws that out the window. And then he continues, anyone with an IQ slightly above a cretin's has to know that all of any type of humans are never always the same. There are good people and bad people, and all categories in between. And you'll find them amongst all races, all religions, all sizes, shapes, and sexes. It's a free country. But do it because he or she has personally given you a reason to feel that way, not because of skin color or religion or foreign ancestry or the shape of their toenails or any other moronic, mixed up, mindless motive. Because if you justify your hatred by smearing everyone in any given group with the same brush, then you're a bigot, Charlie. Okay, that's it. Never let it be said I don't keep my word when I promise to write about something, even if it happens to take 10 years to get around to it. Excelsior. This is counter everything social justice preaches to us for decades now. Social justice demonizes all of these points that Stanley is making here.
If I read a single tweet from Comic Drake accusing all people who are against the current events, and like he groups up everyone as one, and like he still champions himself over like this shit.
Yeah, a great example.
Just gotta be a final nail in the coffin.
A great example
he complains about
is
whiteness posters to him.
I don't know if you know what's happening in North America, but there's this giant convoy that arrived at Ottawa from all parts of America and Canada. And it's about 50, they say it's 50,000. I don't know. I have no idea how they got that number. But they were labeling them as racists and Nazis. And like, what the hell? Like, where did you get that? And they're saying, you know, tens of thousands of truckers in their trucks are all Nazis and like, no. That's
because
ridiculous.
Like someone had the MAGA hat and the Star of David.
One guy had a MAGA hat, therefore the rest of them are all
and the Star of David is like a symbol of fascism. Like what?
Yeah, look, it's as they I forgot what year it was. I think it was during Weimar still, where the communists decreed as a party at their party conference that every enemy of socialism, of progressivism, should be labeled with every bad word in the book, starting with fascist, racist, everything that works. And this is what this is. The government, Trudeau especially, is calling all the people against his authoritarianism fascists, which is projection in this instance. Because all Trudeau wants here is that everybody is within his narrative, on his side. Nobody is neutral. You're not allowed to be neutral. Neutral would be to not take or not take the jab and be indifferent about whether people take it or not to enforce it. That would still be a neutral stance. That is not enough for the likes of Trudeau. Same as in European countries.
Well, the funny thing is the CBC...
And nobody is allowed to be against it. That is fascism defined by Mussolini.
This is what happened, I think, the past few days. What they do is we talk about current events, and we knew the convoy was coming all throughout the week because it takes so long to get to Ottawa. We had the conservative members they bring on the CBC, like this panel of like Andrew Coyne, he's like the Ontario guy. There's the Chantal Hébert, she's from Montreal, I think. And they're all roughly in the right-leaning centrist sort of park. So they're fairly intelligent folks, political analysts. And they were like, "Oh, no politician should talk to these people. They're extremists." It's like they're just a bunch of people in trucks driving to Ottawa.
People.
They're the guys.
They're the people. This is the government against the people.
It was this bizarre thing. Oh, anyone who ever wants to get to know these people are like they're just painting their party in a bad light. By the way, Trudeau has been locked up in his house because he thinks he supposedly has COVID, and he doesn't want to
despite a negative test.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, you're just scared of not going out there to address these people. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, because these people are all cowards.
It's hilarious.
They're all tyrannical cowards. Like the worst tyrants often are the worst cowards at the same time.
This is like bullshit.
They shoot artillery from inside their castles. And once they're outside their castles, they're the tiny, cowardly people that best not want to be seen. My landlord is the same.
Well, it reminded me of kids trying to like get off schools. They have the sniffles, or they don't want to go to work, or like whatever the case. It feels like, come on, dude, you don't want to go to Ottawa right now because you might have a cold. This is ridiculous. Put your damn mask on, get to work. Anyway, back to Stan.
Women are so-and-so, or all blacks or Catholics, who's slightly above amongst all races, because here's motive. Because if you justify your in a given group with the same rank, that he was a saint. That's not true. Stan Lee was without a doubt the face of Marvel Comics, and like I said earlier in the video, he frequently put the spotlight on himself and downplayed the role of his collaborators. Additionally, Stan became an extremely rich man. His collaborators did not. On top of that, when Marvel was finally giving back artists their original artwork...
Because Stan Lee was the person who took the risk. And also, he was the one who offered the deal in the first place. That's how a business deal works. But you don't particularly understand how that works either. It's just keep pointing out that, like, okay, he got rich, yes. The artist in the beginning agreed to work that they have done freelance, and it was finished, and that's it. They go on with their lives.
Yeah, this is the difference between being an artist and a publisher or producer. He took the reins of management, and then he owned parts of the company. Little different than just being a part-time artist.
It could have flopped, and it could have gone bankrupt, as a lot of things go. But it did not. It became successful.
I think what's going on...
As far as I know, in the 90s, Marvel did go bankrupt, didn't it?
I don't know.
There was a downtime of downslope, but I don't remember the details.
Yeah.
I think I figured out what's going on here. Like, he was just when I was confused because I think you were fast forwarding Smut.
Yeah.
Because he was that was odd.
He was just reading the thing.
He was just reading the same.
Yeah, but
thing
he was also
you actually read.
Yeah, but he also was injecting stuff into that. And what I heard from those snippets was that he did praise Stan as he did not praise Stan Lee. He framed that as those words are like saintly, which is admitting that this position that the social justice warriors are against as being racist. Stanley's position there is racist in the sense of social justice. That is. So he is aware that those are actually good positions, but what I think is happening is that since he is a social justice warrior, he is aware that the current dogma is the opposite of what Stan Lee wrote there. So now he has to demonize Stan Lee so that we forget about his words. We have to get rid of the man because his message is too positive. It's in the way of progressivism.
In the way of our world domination.
Yes. I think that's what's going on here. And I want to know if he's being paid by some other entity. Like not just Patreon bullshit, but and some actual here have some money to push the agenda. Not Marvel, no. Like there's a lot of paid socialist shills that get money from China. Like I think Renegade Cut is one of them. But what was the guy we covered on Cyric's stream? Jason Unruhe. Like, he makes absolutely insanely dumb Fallout content where he projects communism on things like Caesar's Legion. That is the perfect communist society.
Whoa.
You watched the entire thing. It took us 20 hours.
Ancient Rome.
But you cannot stay sane going through that in one go. It's over an hour of him just doing commie babble that he doesn't understand, where he doesn't understand the big words that he's using and is mispronouncing them all the time at the same time.
Didn't he also self-insert himself to the Red Alert free videos?
He didn't do that himself. That was Serpenza and another guy who do this ADV channel where they go over. Look, this is what Chinese propaganda looks like. This is what Chinese propagandists look like that get paid by China. This is how you can spot Chinese propaganda.
All right. And
they thought like, hey, why is he wearing this stupid jacket? Wait, what does this remind me of? And they put him then in the Red Alert Free thing.
Oh my god!
That was not Jason Unruhe doing it himself. Although it fits so perfectly.
Yeah, I really thought like he's like that delusional that he would do that.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, we are.
If you want to kill brain cells, watch his stuff.
No. This is Drake is enough for today. I think we're good with this fellow.
Yeah.
Also, the whole thing with the Marvel bankruptcy that was like in the mid '90s. They had to merge with Toy Biz to stay alive.
Oh, okay.
And part of the strategy was, unfortunately, selling off the Spider-Man film rights to Sony and Columbia Pictures around that time. Along with the X-Men and Fantastic Four to Fox and everything else.
Okay. Let's keep going.
A special contract thrown at him. Unlike the other artists they had employed, Kirby's paperwork required him to forego any claims to the characters that he worked on. Yeah, all of Kirby's original artwork was essentially being held hostage unless he gave up the intellectual property that he had a claim to. It's not a claim. He writes a contract saying, I'm going to give all of my work to the company I'm working for, and they pay me a salary. That's usually how it goes for any designer or artist. That's it. He signed the contract. Yes. That's normal. You are an artist for Marvel. You draw our comic books. That's...
Read the damn contract.
Yeah. And if it wasn't him, it would have been someone else that did the comics. That's all.
Yeah, that's not a fault of capitalism. You will use the same excuse of, well, you signed up for this. Once you have had your communist revolution and installed your new oppressive, totally equitable regime.
Yeah, it's no different.
You will then say, well, we did the revolution for you. You signed up for this. You live here now. You have to do what we say. Also, this contract is void when we deem it to exploit you.
Well, it's no different than hiring a copywriter.
You are actually doing the worst. These people are going to do the worst thing. They're going to do the thing that they accuse capitalism of, which is constantly going against the contract.
Right. It's no different if you were a news agency at the time or a blogging company or some sort of website where you do blogging and you hire a writer to write the stories for you. It's like, this is my content now because it's my website, but you go research the topic and talk about it and put pictures on there and blah, blah, blah. You do the work. I pay you at the end of the day. Maybe I pay you by the word count or whatever the case may be. And that's a job. It's like, well, this was my article. Yes, and it's owned by me now because it's my website and that's what I paid you to do. It doesn't matter if it's drawn pictures or copy or dialogue or inking or coloring or whatever. It's just how it goes. It's nothing diabolical. It's just how the business goes. You got to make the sausage. Everyone does their part. Anyway.
A super interesting story that I would love to make an entire video all about. But anyway, Stan Lee could have used his influence to stand up for the man that helped him create almost every single character that he was made famous for. And he didn't.
He wasn't morally perfect.
Stan Lee is well known for making cameos in Marvel movies, but contrary to popular belief, he hasn't been in them all. In fact, people...
Okay, so he went from his work in the 1970s all the way to what?
The 2000s.
The 2000s, where he started making guest appearances or cameos.
Also, supposedly Stanley in his 20s was already a millionaire.
Really? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the video. That was in the first 40 or 50 seconds of him saying it.
What? I thought he made only $8 a week.
Yeah.
But he was a millionaire?
Well, he made a name for himself in the comics as the writer-editor's person, and then he'd have his little mailbag thing going. So he eventually went up to the ladder to publisher, where he stopped doing that, and he focused on the higher level. He became the face of Marvel
He became the lead. Yeah, he became the leader of the company.
Right, because he was so popular. So, hey, let's put the guy in charge who everyone knows. It's like, that's a smart move. That's what you do to your CEO. He doesn't have all the power, but he's a shareholder. He's on the board of directors, and he's promoting the company. And that's what you do in your later years. So that's totally fine if you're a big name and you made your big name in the company you worked for. That makes perfect sense. So it's sad that the artists were just visual guys. They could have had lots of great creative input, and they did, the individual comics, but not on the higher level, which is the way the company was operating and being promoted and marketing, and who knows what else happened during the 70s and 80s and 90s. So, yeah, that's just how the business ran, and it's based off ambition. It's based off raising your voice. Nowadays, there's all that big talk of like, how long have you been working at a company? When should you ask for a raise? What's the proper time and when and how, and all this leverage stuff you talk about. And I can go to another company anytime. You're replaceable and yada yada. Yes, Ditko could have done better. Same with Kirby. That's how it went. But it's not Stan's fault. This is not like, why did he fight for Kirby? It's like, I don't know. Should he have? Was that such a big deal for Ditko to raise his own voice and concerns? Anyway.
What I find this so disingenuous in this is on top of that is that he is part of the ideology that erases the creators of things. If they don't like the person, if you said something wrong sometimes when you were 8 years old or something, and then they will vulture over your work, over your creation, and appropriate it to fit their ideology, and will never ever name you again.
I'm trying to think of
and he now complains that Stan Lee didn't mention other people enough. That is so disingenuous.
Yeah, but this is like the kind of divide and conquer method that he's using. So like he's like calling attention to like a drama that happened like many years ago that he has like no fucking business to do because it was between those two. But like it's trying to like shit on the name of Stan Lee. And then like once he's like in the power like of like writing for something, then he's gonna like make this garbage. Yeah, that's how like some of those writers have gone into Marvel and DC.
Yeah,
it's all the basic rules. It's projection and hypocrisy.
Yeah, think of
and then you add gaslighting. I'm not sure he's gone there yet, but this is all projection and hypocrisy so far.
Yeah, think of artists I know artists well known for video game stuff like Yoshitaka Amano for Final Fantasy, Ayami Kojima for Castlevania, Like, do they own all the character designs? It's like, no, they were paid to be an artist for a company, and the company owns those designs. They give the game designers, and they try to make sprites out of them and animate them and give them game mechanics. Like, it's not just their creation. They are perhaps the initial inspiration, which happens in a lot of game design, where the artist will create huge paintings or huge sketches that form the basis for inspiration for the game or level designers to create gameplay out of. And it's this whole collaborative process. Like, obviously a game is a lot more complicated than a comic book, but it's the same idea. It's like, yes, the visuals come from the artist, but that's it. They don't own the art. If they did, that'd be a weird relationship. Like in Chrono Trigger, you have like the Golden Dream team of Akira Toriyama and all the writers and all the musicians. Like, they all collaborated together, but we don't think of Akira Toriyama as the inventor of Chrono Trigger. We think of him as the art style guy who gave the initial inspiration for the characters, and then that allowed the game game designers to come up with the sprite style, the color palette, the level design.
Some of the initial characters of Chrono Trigger are variations of the designs from Secret of Mana.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
But it's with the Toriyama style slapped over them.
Yeah, with the not the caricature, but the what is it called? The avatar look, the icon with the dialogue bubbles pop up, or the main menu when you go into that.
No. I mean the male main character.
Yeah, the sprite. The sprite looks very similar to the Secret of Mana character, just slightly bigger, slightly higher res, and it was obvious from looking at that. Same with, not the same with Xenogears, but just this sort of inspiration of work just went up the chain as more games were being produced. So it's collaborative. It's not just one guy doing and owning the thing he made. That's not how this works. It's an effort. It's a group effort. So I don't get this stipulation that writers should own everything, or writers or artists or whatever should own everything they create, and the company can't own it. It's like, no, that's not what the writer necessarily wanted or what the artist necessarily wanted.
What you need is a change in your copyright that incorporates creators' right. That means you can the monetary element, which is the copyright, you can contract that out. You can license that out.
Sure, but imagine.
But you cannot. But you can never ever give away your creator's right. That you are the one who created the thing.
Like, imagine
that is inviolable.
Imagine there was like a second Chrono Trigger game came out, and they had to ask Toriyama or whoever did the sprite work, say, hey, can we use this character again in our second game? And they have to renegotiate a contract with this guy who owned the rights. Like, that would be a hassle, because here we have Square Enix, or Square at the time, saying, hey, we own this game, we published it, but we don't own the rights to the characters in it to make more games. That's weird. And it would just be this legal issue that no one would want to go through, because when you sign up,
and that's why you don't have proper creators' rights in outside Germany. We at least have that on paper.
Yeah.
But I think that's a necessary thing. And when you have that, then while the creator is alive, the creator can still say, this is part of the characters, and this is not. I don't approve of this.
Right.
This is not what the story is. This is not what the characters are. So this is how the creator can prevent, like, for example, ideological co-opting. And once the creator is dead, you have not the Disney hijacked nonsense of 200 years of copyright after death of the creator, but a sane period until the thing becomes public domain, and then just everybody can do what they want, but none of it is canon. That would make much more sense.
Yeah,
because then there are people who can make their AAA content that is non-canonical anyway. I mean, there are companies who make non-canonical AAA content with the stuff they created. It's mind-boggling to me.
That's where you get the spiritual successors. They can't use the same IP, or they just get a different artist to use the same character design, like they did with Chrono Cross. Same universe, but different, whole other 3D world as they jumped from Super NES to PlayStation. So the game is owned by, or the IP is owned by the company that published it. That's just how it goes. That's how you make a publishing agreement with a publishing company of software. You have to give the rights over to them so they can own it and then manufacture it and take all the risks of pumping out 2 million copies, hoping they'll all sell. So that's just how it goes. They want something for this investment. Anyway, 2 minutes left. Wow, that was quick. Okay.
Think that it's in his contract to be in them, but it's not. The Marvel movies that don't have Stan Lee cameos are the old serials from the 40s and 50s, the Marvel animated features, The Incredible Hulk Returns, the 1990 Captain America movie, any of the Punisher, Blade, and Ghost Rider films, though a cameo for the first Blade movie was actually filmed but didn't make it into the final cut, Howard the Duck, Elektra, X2, X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, Logan, First Class, and Days of Future Past. Fun fact, Stan's first Marvel cameo was actually in the TV movie, The Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Notice how most of those are either old or bad. In fact, is it alright if we go back and actually look at that list for a moment?
Sure.
Jeez. Alright, let's go.
1944.
Or like that really old serial. And the Ultimate Avengers movies, that's animation. Invincible Iron Man is animation.
Captain America movie, any of the Punisher,
A lot of these are
Blade,
in
and Ghost Rider
animation,
films, though a
obscure
cameo
at
for
that.
The first Blade movie was actually
The 90s
filmed, but didn't
movies.
make it into the final cut. Howard the Duck,
The Blade movies, that's the comic book movies really hadn't hit their stride at that point. The Ghost Riders movies suck. Howard the Duck sucks. Elektra sucks. X2,
Elektra,
that one, you got me on
X-Men
that
Origins
one.
Yeah.
Origins sucked. The Wolverine, you got me on that one too, and with Logan, and the last two.
And we have to keep in mind, Blade was sort of not the impetus, but once it was successful, it's like, oh, you can do superhero movies from Marvel that work. And then they said, okay, let's try Spider-Man. Let's try this. Let's try that. And that's when he was in those films. The ones that worked.
It was starting with the original X-Men, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange that the superhero movie that kicked this off was a black male superhero?
Yeah. I wonder why no one talks about that nowadays.
Well, the first one was fun.
But honestly,
it's like people found the movie cool and didn't care about the character's race.
Yeah.
yes.
They weren't racist.
And then the two, well, the third one was really weird, but the one after was actually okay, and the third one was just a joke to watch.
I think with the third one they did some very bad World of Darkness ripoff.
It was the show itself is pretty goofy. I mean, vampires running around in the daylights and all the CGI and the blood and all this weird magnetic crap of like the body recombining, and it was weird. It was weird to watch. It was a bit too silly for me to take seriously.
Maybe if Morbius proves itself, maybe we'll finally get Blade back.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
I think the Wesley Snipes story is kind of funny. What happened to him over the years, but yeah.
But true.
I think it's better we take a hiatus from everything until this socialist dominance crap is over.
All right. Anyway.
Which maybe never, because they love to be in media and education.
Yeah, same with COVID. COVID's never going away. It's like, okay, sure. We have like
so we have to keep all this oppressive fascist government shit on forever now.
We have like vaccines and pills and sprays and all kinds of boosters and
the rich keep having parties. Well, some Feng Shui spray is gonna do just as much about this coof crap as anything else.
I don't know.
Remember when we were going to flatten the curve in 2 weeks?
Oh yeah,
that worked well, didn't it?
Something that meant absolutely nothing.
No, it meant that they just
decades.
bespoke. They wanted to say 2 years, but they were just afraid to say 2 years because they thought that people would just rebel against it. So they just 2 weeks. 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks. Just 2 more months. No, 2 more months, and then
I think what they actually meant was 2 decades.
Well, just good news is Ontario's opening up restaurants again next week. It's great.
Just 2 more generations.
Even for you, Smud? Or?
Well, 50% capacity, and you have to show your pass. So I'm like, oh fuck.
So they're not open.
So they're not open. Yeah, technically they're open.
Ask them to open the garden. Like you can't take the cold.
In the winter.
Like you stand next to like a barrel.
Yeah. So it's
Full on it like Donkey
they
Kong.
want to show. They want you to show your race pass essentially, whether you're pure enough.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I'm
you can't
Italian
get in.
X.
I'm Italian.
Italiex.
Ah,
It hurt just to say it.
I want to stand outside with a
mia.
beer. That's what I want to do. The
Yeah,
winter.
you know what? You know what that actually is? That's an adjective. Why are they gendering adjectives? Is it,
Why are-
we,
why are
we
they
don't,
gen-
we,
why-
don't, we don't say we say Italienisch. That's an adjective.
Italyish.
Hey! You didn't put the pronoun before that word. Wisp.
There's no pronoun.
So
Yes, der Italian X.
Okay. In the chat, someone asked me, have I seen the designs for Thor: Love and Thunder? No, I didn't even know they had a poster out to Constitute Designs. So
Don't. It looks like some
It looks
Photoshop
more
fever thing.
pretentious. Looks like more pretentious 80s crap when there's nothing of that in
see,
there.
I
anyway.
like 80s crap. I grew up doing that. I love the trailer for Ragnarok. I thought it was amazing. I loved it.
I hated the jokes.
Yeah, the comedy was too much. It was like they need to tone it down just a touch and not so frequent, and it would have been fun.
Thor would be so much more awesome if he would just be playing it straight and serious all the time.
You know, the drama for me.
Yeah,
in that
well,
film,
guess what? They did that early on, and it also failed.
the drama.
No,
for me,
it was in the first movie. It was awesome.
Yeah, but if Taika Waititi
Because he's-
toned down the comedy and just kept the drama a little front and center, I think that would have been fine.
Yeah, but because in the first movie, Thor was funny because he just had this culture clash with humanity. He was the Asgardian, and he played that different culture straight, and now he's just another human.
And then Dark World happened.
This serious, this serious guy that he should be that in all the other movies too, where everybody's doing this funny crap, and he's just the guy who doesn't even understand why these people are so weird, and just says the most tone deaf serious things. That would be funny.
Blame Dark World for the changes done to him.
Well, at least Dark World went off Earth.
Well, there were some good parts of that film I enjoyed. I think it was Korg, which was pretty much Waititi's insert character,
In Ragnarok, yeah.
and Scourge. That was like the guy who had a little redemption arc. I thought, wow, you're giving a side character redemption arc? That's awesome.
Same guy that played McCoy in the Star Trek reboot.
Oh, really? That was him? Cool.
Yes.
So there's some good parts of that film, and there's some like, oh, this is tacky, this is silly, this is goofy. So yeah, a little bit unbalanced, but I enjoyed the trailer enough to watch the film. So that's if the trailer sells me, I'm there. That's how it works for me. Good marketing always works for me. Anyway,
Agreed.
I don't trust trailers anymore.
I know,
For
but
years, I don't. They're just okay. You have these scenes in it, and they may or may not be in the movie, but I will notice that I will notice all the trailer scenes in the movie, even if I haven't seen the trailer, because trailer scenes are now tonally so different from the rest of the movies that they just stand out.
In the Ragnarok trailer, they did have to hide up Thor's eye because that was a spoiler. So I
think for Ragnarok, that was the only thing.
Yeah, I understood
his
that.
eye.
Yeah, exactly. When he comes down, you see his eyes all lit up. It's like, oh, in the film they don't.
For
do
Infinity War, it was just the fact that Thanos, just the amount of stones Thanos had, and the final running shot. That's all that was different.
Right.
For Infinity War.
Yeah. So I understand you have to lie to a degree in marketing, especially with filtering out spoilers. I understand.
Yes.
So, but at the same time, my memory goes, wait a second, I remember this. This is not how it was in the trailer. So if you give me 80s synth and sharp dialogue and quick cuts, I'm like, all right. Like that's why I loved Cyberpunk so much. Watching those trailers, like, whoa, this is so cool. And I never bought it.
Then it was shit.
I'm still waiting for the price to drop. I'll wait another 10 years if I have to. I don't care. I will play that game before I die. I hope. I don't know when though.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. By then we'll get like super RTX cards that do 10 times the power. But who knows? Who knows when that will happen? Anyway, 2 minutes left. Oh.
X-Men Origins, The Wolverine, Logan, First Class, and Days of Future Past. Fun fact, Stan's first Marvel cameo was actually in the TV movie The Trial of the Incredible Hulk, which was based on the Hulk TV show. There's also folks that think that Stan was at Marvel until his death in 2018, and that's only sort of true. In 1981, Stan stepped away from working in the comics in favor of moving to California to develop Marvel's TV and movie properties, but his name was continued to be plastered all over books that he had zero involvement with. See, ever since Stan stepped away from the editor-in-chief role in 1972, his replacement, Roy Thomas, still wanted to keep his name in the comics, and started the trend of every issue having a big banner proclaiming, "Stan Lee Presents." This continued for years until 2005. In the 90s, Stan was pretty much doing nothing at Marvel, and was given the title of Chairman Emeritus. He's admitted that it's an honorary title and doesn't really mean anything, but it still had a lifetime contract at Marvel that received a salary of $1 million a year in that essentially useless role.
Oh no, I own a company. I get money for it. How dare you? Are you fucking kidding me?
He is right in that Stan did almost nothing at the company after that.
Yes, but he owns the company. Oh shit! Like it produces money for me. What should I do?
How does this company work? I've been here for all my life. I'm retired now.
He freaking built the company himself. Like that. Not.
You could say the goal is that you make it in a way that it works, and you have to do as little as possible to keep it running.
This is how
you just crawl back into a hole in a cave, where we don't know about you.
Yeah, that's the point of an admin in IT. That's the point of a good manager.
This is what happens when you make a company from the ground up and you own it, and you're like, okay, you're going to take over my job to do this. You're going to take over this other job, and you collaborate. You get a project manager. I'll sit back. I'll own the lion's share of the stock. And there's a problem. We have a little agreement every 3 months, and we talk about it. And that's it. I'm busy doing other things now. I got life to go work on, and that's entrepreneurship. That's the ideal. You get to that level where you're the CEO, and then you just own the company. You're still on the board, but you hand the reins to someone else to keep the thing going. That's it.
Yep.
It's good. It's good plan. Good on you, Stan.
He's basically made for life.
Yeah, that is the best kind of retirement plan. Forget 401ks and whatever country you're a part of that does those setups. Just you have your own business, and you trust people to run it. That's that. Enjoy your walks on the beach or whatever you do. It's good for you. Anyway.
While Chairman Emeritus, Stan focuses time on his other businesses like Stanley Media and POW Entertainment. Hell, he even sued Marvel in 2002 because his contract said that he was owed 10% of all profits of films and TV shows based on his characters. So, yes, Stan was involved with Marvel all the way until he died, but not really. He just collected a paycheck and voluntarily went to conventions. It's also not a misconception, but I found it really delightful that Stan Lee was also an avid player of the ocarina. He would get on people's nerves a lot since he constantly played it.
What?
Is he trying to frame Stan Lee as being greedy for wanting the share of his own creations?
No, this is a good thing because this is the same argument for the artists that wanted royalties.
I mean, that's Comic Drake. Is he trying to say that Stan Lee is a bad person for wanting the profits from his creations?
Yeah,
Stanley is doing the thing that he was accusing that Jack Kirby and Ditko wasn't. The both of those have done the same thing as what Stanley did many years after.
They wanted what Stan got because Stan was going up at the ranks in the company, and Ditka was just an artist. So, yay, good for Stan. Good for Stan for getting his royalty checks.
Oh, I forgot he's a communist. He wants that everyone gets the exact same pay.
Yeah, but I don't understand it because he was just harping how artists weren't getting their fair share. It's like, here's Stan getting his fair share. He owned the thing. He should get royalties. It's like, yes, he should. He did. Bravo. The system is working.
In a way.
Yeah, I don't see the problem here. What's the issue?
Yeah.
Anyway, weird argument.
In the office, and Marvel even made an official autographed one.
Huh?
Just a neat little tidbit to go out on. If you like this video, then why not consider subscribing or even watching another one?
Go away.
If you like this, then chances
We
are
had enough.
No.
Shut down your channel.
Go away. Well, that was.
Go away now.
that wasn't that horrible. It was just short and weird.
And blacklisted.
Take all your dumb, ignorant cultists from Patreon with you.
All right, we got a bunch of stream memes. I don't know why. I don't know how
Because it's Drake.
How did you make so many memes? I don't know. Anyway.
They're getting better.
Mark, what did you do? It's not a bad photo of him. He's enunciating properly, I hope.
Ooh.
Here's Joe Crazy. Stan Lee, Marvel digging or having a spade there. Am I really going
Am I really going to defile this grave for money? Of course I am.
All right. Oh, I can barely read this. So
I got it.
You want to read it? Go for it.
So, Spidey, looking back at all these personal attacks, I had to ask, why, in your opinion, does Jameson have it out for you? At first, I didn't really know, but over the years, and after some very serious thought and soul-searching, I think I figured it out. The real reason Jonah hates me is because I'm black. Oh, God. I mean, if this was Miles...
Is this a recent comment?
Maybe.
Oh.
And then Jonah, I didn't know. I mean, I had nothing against... I never would have... some of my best friends are... kidding, sorry.
Looks like a joke.
Order in the court.
No further questions, Your Honor. Okay, I'm assuming this isn't recent because that's actually fucking funny.
Yes. And it's also making fun of this very notion of just claim you're black and you're excused of everything.
All right, here we go. Foosh. Whoa, the multiverse has a female Spider-Man and a black Spider-Man. And then we have
that's supposed to be the British Spider-Man, I think.
No,
I'm sure
it's yourself.
Sure.
No, I'm serious. I think that's supposed to be like the British Spider-Man or something. Spider-Britain,
Dude,
Spider
this
UK.
is Stone
Spider
Toss.
UK.
Dumb right
It's
now.
Stone Toss. It would never put British.
Man.
No, I'm serious. He's called Spider UK. I'm not kidding.
Italian Spider-Man. There you go. That's what I
No,
was.
you're not serious. Stop playing dumb.
You need some reading on Stone Toss.
I'm not kidding. Spider UK.
It could
Do
be.
you know what the Union Jack looks like and what the Southern flag looks like?
All right. Anyway.
Look it up, for fuck's sake.
Okay,
But
here's...
when people say
Don't tell me
Rise
you're
of the
serious.
South, it
That only means you're
it's
dumb.
London.
All
I'm
right.
not saying this is Spider UK. I'm saying he exists.
Oh, this is awesome. I love
No.
this. Low-budget X-Men.
Oh, hey.
Are those laser pointers? What are those? Crayolas?
Yes. Those are like-
Yes.
He's a reporter.
I can't even tell.
A card on fire, a bucket, and an iron, and a fork.
Yeah, fork's the best.
You couldn't even get like 3 butter knives and put them in between your fingers, really.
The cut on fire looks the most legit.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
it looks like he only has 4 fingers.
All right, ADL, fighting hate for good. Thank you, ADL. Racism. Racism is the belief that a particular race is superior to or inferior to another, that a person's social and moral traits are predetermined by his or her inborn biological characteristics. Really? Okay.
That was the definition of the ADL of racism in July 2020.
All right.
In August 2020, they changed the definition to
the marginalization and or oppression of people of color based on a socially constructed racial hierarchy that privileges white people.
Absolute lies.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is a socially constructed racial hierarchy that the socialists invented. They invented it.
This is hilarious.
We didn't have that. They invented it.
ADL is a social construct.
Yes, there we go. That's the best
I also
answer.
call it race. Also call this subcategory race and racial justice. I think I've said before that no German dares to translate the term racial justice into German because it makes them choke. I've tried it. I've asked people, several dozen over the years, and they all choke on the word. Nobody wants to say it. They can translate it, but they don't want to speak it out. And then I ask, well, what book would you expect it to be in, whether you've read the book or not? And they all say, well, Hitler's book.
Oh, well. Okay.
Really?
Here's
because the German they don't use the word in German politics. The left does not dare use racial justice in Germany.
Yeah,
because they know it's too obvious.
Okay, here's Joe Crazy for the tweet.
This next one is pretty much the social justice movement in a nutshell.
All right, so some random person littered in the beach. Better find a random minimum wage worker to stab.
But worried about a sea turtle. It throws up the rag for Owen's grocery. The bitch goes to the grocery store and just stabs a random dude.
What?
This planet is not your toilet, you stupid barbarian. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much the Me Too movement in a nutshell.
So she's the villain. I get it.
It's a woman.
Not Me Too. It's the environmentalist movement of the socialists.
It's pretty accurate.
Give me both.
They blame the guy with the. What does this have to do with Me Too? Me Too is about sexual harassment, you dumb nut. What does this have to do with this?
Well, that shut me up.
So this character is so psychopathically insane and of an environmentalist that she stabs the store owner, or at least clerk, for selling people plastic bags to carry their groceries in. When the culprit is whoever threw the plastic bag into the sea. Or into into the sewers or something, instead of disposing it in a trash can. She is attacking the wrong person.
So
if she wants to attack someone, she's attacking someone innocent. And later in this comic, she is confronted again with this deed, and she has no regrets about it. She says she will do it again.
All right.
Even after understanding that this guy was not the fault.
So these
are supposed to be the heroes we are supposed to root for.
Well, this is the message we've been saying for the past, I think, 2 or 3 Smudcasts.
Yes.
Yeah, just read the contract. If you want to work for a company, don't. It's not that hard. Joe Crazy again. Look at what they did to Hulk. Wow.
What is this?
Yeah, I watched your little pirate broadcast, your manifesto. Tell me, Bruce, do you still play Minecraft on Peaceful?
Isn't this Amadeus Cho?
He doesn't even look like Cho. Cho looks at least like a normal Asian. This looks like some man-woman androgynous thing with man muscles.
Anytime you have that sideburn on the side of the head with the hair up on top, I'm like, all right, something's not jiving with me.
Oh no, that's just grass.
Oh, it's green, yeah. All right. What is the Witcher? Blade the Witcher. This video is age restricted. Oh, I can't watch it here. Damn it! I have to go to YouTube and watch it. All right, last one. Mateus, the podcaster, Smudcast. All right, Sloppy Seconds. Sisyphus in the morning.
Oh no!
Were you on for all 3 that day, Wisp?
Not in one day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think. I didn't even notice.
Whisp is the Agent Smith.
It's all over the place.
I've also been on others that you don't know.
Yeah. There's no monopoly on Wisp. He goes for everything. They take Whisp for everything. Doesn't matter what.
I don't discriminate.
Yeah. All right. That was a waste of time. That was Comic Drake. We didn't get much out of that. Nothing you can't learn by just going to his Wikipedia and reading that. And a little bit of crap here and there. I don't know why he put the pronouns. That was weird. But again, not really offensive, just kind of stupid.
Oh, I find it very
I just feel like it's malicious because he's misleading and like he's telling half truths and he's saying things as facts from his perspective, and it's very disgusting, especially with people who don't live anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they can't even defend themselves against the moron like this.
Yeah, you can't say stop that.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that was an easy one to go through. Thanks for tuning in. Not sure what we're doing tomorrow, but it is I think we're going on a new month soon, so who knows what we'll bring. Monday will come by. We'll have a wonderful weeb day, and maybe we'll cover One Punch Man again. I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out. Anyway,
that would be cool.
Yeah. I got to catch up on my manga. It's been a while. So, anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you real soon. Keep the recommendations coming, and